I was inspired to do this video because a lot of people do those reaction videos to Star Citizen, right, where they're talking about like what their experience is, how amazing it is, and then those are usually the newer guys, and we've seen that a lot with all the people a while back when everybody started coming from Elite Dangerous, and they were all like super hype and super impressed. They were coming into the game on that honeymoon phase, you would say. And then you see people that have been in the community making videos for a long time that have slowly become really jaded, a little more critical, and constantly, going at the negative a little bit. And I've been a backer now. 2023 will be my 5th year as a backer, so I've been around long enough that I'm way past that honeymoon phase, and I've had some highs and lows with the project, and I've also not been here so long that I've become extremely bitter and jaded, but I'm starting to get there in some ways. But one of the things I felt like it'd be good, 5 years a backer. What's that experience been like for me, that journey, to give people that are interested in this project a little idea, maybe something to entertain people that's been around for a while that just watch everything Star Citizen related. I started back in 2019, I want to say it was. It was around 2019, and it was in 2019. It was somewhere around, I got a little note here. I think it was 3.6, because I can remember the first update that I went through bringing in rental kiosk, and that was around 3.6 or 3.7, something like that. And back then we started at PO still, the glorious Port Olisar. And I'll never forget my first experience with the game was I walked out on the landing platform because I had that bug right off the bat. First time playing the game, took forever to figure out what I was doing. I try to get my ship, and I can't recall my ship. Very first time. Couldn't get it. So I'm saying something about it in Global, and people explain to me I got to get a ride somewhere else. So somebody in Global in the community turned out to be one of the leaders in one of the higher ups in the guild, Vanguard. He comes over to give me a ride somewhere else. But while I'm waiting on him, I go out there and find a landing pad. And I go out on this landing pad, and I walk up to the edge of the landing pad. And I knew from watching stuff about the game that you could kind of zero G a little bit. So I was trying to figure, what's going to happen if I just jump off this platform. And I'm not very good with heights, but we had the old Crusader placeholder in the background, which at the time was amazing to me, even though it was a really crappy placeholder compared to what we have now. But, you got Port Olisar, you got the Crusader placeholder, and I go to step off this platform, try to hop off the platform into 0G, and I got the first physical reaction a video game has ever given me. Sure, I've had plenty of emotional reactions to video games, but it was the first time I was ever physically affected past getting nauseous playing VR. And I got the little tingle in my feet. Like if you're up real high and you're not really comfortable with heights, and you look over and you get that woof, that little shooting tingles in your legs. That happened to me sitting in my chair. At that moment, and I was hooked. I was blown away by the immersion. I mean, I was completely immersed in the moment on Port Olisar on that landing pad. And that really speaks volumes to the immersion, even back then when the game wouldn't run 15 to 30 minutes without 30K in. And then when you would try to get back in, you would 30K 3 more times in rapid succession as soon as your feet hit the ground before you would finally get on a server that was fresh enough you could get another 15 to 30 minutes. And but it didn't matter. I was so hooked on the experience of what it had to offer at that time. I was in honeymoon bound. And at that point, it was hook, line, and sinker. You know, I could endure any amount of bugs, any amount of restarts. There was none of that bothered me. You know, people could complain about them, whatever. I just go back, go back, go back, go back. I could just keep doing it all evening. That was my first experience, and that first year pretty much went that way. I just kept playing. I played it primarily as my primary game, even as troublesome as some of those patches were. It was an experience that I couldn't get anywhere else, so I just kept doing it. I was in love with it, and at that time there wasn't much negativity in my mind, even though I was seeing negativity around the internet, you know. And it was, it just had me. I started getting into the marketing model of this. I started to buy ships. What I did was I wasn't playing anything else. I wasn't interested in anything else at the time. So what I did was I was just taking the money I was going to spend on other games and just adding it into my account. I would just keep adding it on my Star Citizen account until I had just it started ballooning, and I was doing that pretty heavy. And then the first experience with the IAE and the second experience with the IAE on the next go round, I was they released something new and buy it. I remember when the Argo dropped shortly after I started playing. Had to have it. It was a new ship. I didn't, you know, and it hit me, so I bought it. Ended up hating it. The ladder simulator, up and down, up and down, up and down. But it started adding up. You know, I don't regret backing the project at all. But I don't feel taken advantage of by the project. I'm going to spend the money on video games anyway, really, to be honest with you. You know, I got into it real big. I bought my VKB setup and everything, my flight sticks, and got my head tracker, you know, went balls deep. You heard me? Balls deep. And year 2 continued on about that same way, so it just kept going. You know, so I was really hook, line, and sinker on the real money stuff, and I was trying to play every day. Then I started trying to get my friends. You know, year 2, I'm trying to get all my friends into the game, and I'd bug them, and they'd play, and they'd experience one bug, and they'd quit. You know, never play again. You know, they only did it to shut me up, I think. So I just kind of quit trying to get people I knew to play. I realized I needed to find other people that were in the cult, that were obsessed with this project. There was no way I could just bring people from the outside. You had to come into it interested in it, and then get immersed in it, and then be able to be obsessed enough with it that you could endure all those bugs and issues in order to really play it. To be honest, like, it's something you had to come to on your own. It's still to this day, even though it's much improved, not necessarily something that's really easy to bring people in that's just a typical gamer friend of yours, and you convince them that they should play it with you all the time. For you, those of you that's had success doing that with a friend or two, man, kudos to you. Kudos to you. Hats off for getting that to work for you. I kind of got to where I was doing, like, it was total Star Citizen consumption, you know. That's why all my gaming finances, my gaming spending money was going into it. I watched everything they put out, every video, every ISC, Star Citizen Live, every video, every content creator put out. Hanging out in DG360 streams, partying, watching the reactions to the Star Citizen videos, watching Salty Mike every week with his week in review, and you know, everything Board Gamer posted, everything Super Mac posted, like everything, watching it all. So if it was Star Citizen, I watched it. I watched the hit piece videos, I watched the White Knight videos, and everything in between. Total consumption. It was nothing else. It was just Star Citizen brain, you know. It's all I ever want to talk about. My gaming friends, they didn't want to talk to me about games no more. They're like, stupid cultist. Don't want to hear what he's got to say anymore, you know. I hit Concierge, and yeah, the one thing about when you start going through the levels of concierge, at first it was, at this time they had just started adding the rentals and the buyers when I first started, and then they started putting more ships in game that were flyable that you could get in game, and that gave less incentive, I guess, to a way to spend money, but people were still doing it. So was I, They say, oh, it gives you less incentive, but some of us were still eating that up. And to be honest with you, I do have regrets about that, not necessarily because of what I spent or because of me thinking that I supported a bad project, because that's not the case. I don't feel that way at all. I think I supported a good project. Star Citizen will happen at some point, and I do feel like it was my choice. I made the choices I made. It's my fitness. I'm a big boy. As DG would say, I put my big boy pants on. But I do have a somewhat of a regret in a way that I feel like maybe I spent myself out of progression, because when you get all the ships that you want, that you really, really want, I mean, that's a big part of playing these types of games, whether it was EVE Online or anything like that, is building your reputation and your finances, working your way through it. And I feel like I eventually got to the point where I enjoyed my alt account a lot. That had nothing but an Aurora on it. Now it's got a cutter on it. Spend $5 more. But it's just a little starter account, and it really is all you need. But I think it's also the healthy decision to make, because it gives you progress to progress through the game. And if you constantly buy everything you want, that maybe everybody's different, but for me, I felt like I woke up one day and was like, shit, I spent myself out of progression. It's kind of a bummer, and because I swapped my ships around, melted and swapped them around so much over the years, like they're not giftable, so like I'm stuck with them, you know what I mean? You feel me? So that's where I'm at on that. You're stuck with them. But yeah, that's the closest thing to a financial backing regret that I have. I mean, other than that, I was a big Chris Roberts fan. You got to kind of understand that I'm in my 40s. I started gaming on PC way back in the early 90s, and I remember the Wing Commander games, so when I found out Chris Roberts was doing a game, I became very interested in it. So to me, I'm really hyped for Squadron 42, mainly because I want my next generation Wing Commander, and I want to finish Star Citizen product. I'm more hyped for that than the PU, because I don't see the PU being really done for a long time. But that's my opinion. I'm still going to fiddle around with it, So it's so yeah, that was year 1 and 2, really, year 1 and 2. So like at year two, going into year 3 of being a backer, it's where my expectations had been set really high off of all the stuff I'd been watching. Everything's coming. We're about to get this snowball effect. All this content's about to come. Everything's about to just boom, boom, and that was my expectations were through the roof. And setting those expectations based on all the stuff you hear from CIG and Chris Roberts and the most positive of content creators, I would say. I guess maybe the expectations I set was maybe the reason there started to be cracks in my passion and love for the project, is because I got to the point where my expectations weren't met through that 3rd year. And they surely wasn't met here in this past 4th year. It was a really bad year. So I began to become a little more jaded myself, and I started feeling a little more negative about the news. My first reaction every time they would say something, you get to a point wherever they say something and you're like, and you just start thinking to yourself that, yeah, but when? If you say next year, that means probably 5 more freaking years. You can't help but start to feel that way over time. I know there's people that'll tell you, I've been a backer since 2012 and I'm super positive and flowers grow out my butt. all that crap. But that's fine. I mean, if you're that positive about it, you know, if you can stay that positive, man, good for you. Good for you. I can't do it. I mean, people that are able to stay that positive for that long, from 2012 all the way till now, and still be positive every day, still play the game every day, man, those people are troopers, man. Like, woo, can't quite do that. I'm still hopeful, and I had to take a break. You know, I got to the point where, like, year 4, it was more like watching videos and staying. I still watched ISC. I still, you know, watch the con, you know, watch all the content creators. You know, this was the only game that's ever inspired me to try to make videos. You know, if it wasn't for that, I'm not really a content creator. I make a video here and there, and I appreciate the people that follow, and sometimes go 3 months without a video before I start making a few videos again. I appreciate that, you know, that you guys are interested enough in the crap that I say that you would do that to support me and watch my stuff. But the only reason I do it at all was I was inspired by Star Citizen, because I was that captivated by it. And but if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for Star Citizen, I probably would have never made a video for YouTube, to be honest with you. So definitely passionate about it, but tired. I guess that's the best way going into this fifth year to describe how I feel about the project is I'm tired, boss. I'm tired. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm just tired. I need some big wins to come out of this project. You know, a lot of people are excited about PS, and I don't want to put that down. That's pretty cool, you know. But to me, it's like, I'm so sick and tired of waiting on Immersion, and I'm so sick and tired of waiting on 4.0. To me, I'm so sick of Stanton. You know, Stanton's like, all of Stanton has become prison gameplay for me. It's all prison gameplay. Let me out of here, dude. Let me out of here. And I know that that's jaded, but that's where I'm at. You know, that's where I'm at. And I don't know where I'm going to be at the end of this coming year. I'm really hoping we get that static server mesh and we see Pyro by the end of this year, and we get a real update and release date on Squadron 42. Like, I need that to stay going. You know, I took a break this past year. I slowly started playing less and less. I was playing like a couple days a week instead of every day, and then I got to where I was playing once a week, and then I got to where I'd log in every couple weeks, and then I just took a long break, like months of not logging in. And yeah, there's a lot of frustration and a little more jadedness at this point, but I'm starting to feel good about it again, to the point where I'm ready to get back into playing. You know, I'm looking at 3.18, and I'm like, I told myself when I took a break I wasn't coming back till 4.0. That's what I told myself. But I have a vulture. We got salvage T0. I'm so sick of T0. That's a whole nother rant. But, you know, that's... No, we're not going there. I really, really want to play the salvage gameplay. I really want to mess around with the vulture and kind of just experience the game again after months of not playing. Do a little playthrough of the content, see how far I go before I get tired. And that's my plan going into this year. As soon as when 318 live hits, which could be any minute, it might even be out right now. I haven't even checked this morning. And by the time I publish the video, it might be out. And if so, when it's out, I plan on playing it a little bit, you know. And so yeah, I'm feeling better than I was a year ago, but I'm still got a little jadedness, and I think that's really the thing, right? Is that people are at different points. We have different tolerances, and we have different points in our journey through this backer thing. And I think being a backer of Star Citizen's like this. And I mean on a yearly scale, maybe even a bi-yearly scale. You might have a year or two good where you're feeling good about it, and then a year or two where you're just in free fall, and then you just, and then a year or two where you feel better about it. And that's really the roller coaster of it. And I hope we're getting to the end of that. I hope that in the next couple years that we're at a point where it's just good, and everything that comes after that is just more. You know, I would really like to get to that point because I'm tired. But that's been my journey in these 5 years. And, you know, I think for people, if they're interested in it, they should always play whatever they're interested in, because say you get the first 2 years of super positivity where you just and really enjoying it. The game's easier to enjoy now than it's ever been. And so if you can get you a year or two, you might get to the point where you make it through the next couple of years of slow development that we got in front of us. So you might not ever reach that jaded point at this point if you're new. And that's good. That's super good. You know, that's super good. I guess my final thoughts is on the backer journey is that just hang in there. If you get jaded, if you get too jaded, just take a break, because you'll start to feel better about it. And just watch the videos and just take a break from playing. And when the jadedness starts to go away, you start to feel a little excitement about something on the horizon, come back and play. And if you're a brand new backer and you're super positive about it and just you don't want to hear anything negative, you don't understand the negativity around it because you're just caught up into that honeymoon phase, which can last a year or two. So if you've been playing for 6 months, you're not out of the honeymoon phase, in my opinion, with this game. If you get to that, you know, just understand that. Try to understand that some people's been up and down a lot, and so it's a little bit different as things go on. The years go on, things change. You know, and if you've been around forever and you're still super positive about it every single day, man, what a superhero you are! Amazing to me. That you're able to stay positive like that. For you guys that are just completely negative all the time and just putting out negative videos, or if you're not a content creator and every time you go to leave a comment it's negative, you know, take that break. And you can take a whole year. You could take 2 years. Just set you, like I said, 4.0. I said I'm not coming back to a 4.0, which I haven't done that. A year's gone by. And 3.18's coming, and hey, I think I'll go play that. But I've also had a year. Didn't quite make that 4.0 weight. I don't want to get old, but I wanted to. Setting that goal made me stay away long enough that I finally got to feel positive about what was coming enough that I was interested enough to play. So I guess that's 5 years backer. That's the best I could say about it. You know, you get to the point where you just got to look internally. Is it a negative thing in your life now, or is it a positive? And then you just come and go as you feel that energy change. It's the way to consume Star Citizen. And if you know, I feel bad for the guys that are content creators that are burnt out and jaded, but their income has started to be Star Citizen. When people are not variety streamers, when they're just like a certain community and they have to stay in that community in order to keep their channel and their stuff going, and it becomes a job. When something you're not enjoying becomes a job, it's hard not to get. I'm sure it's hard to get up every day and deal with that, but we're getting there, guys. I mean, the game's getting better. We're getting there. It'll happen. So anyway, that's my testimony. 5 years of backer. 3.18, let's go. Salvage has been a long time even coming, even though this isn't much for salvage, but at least it's mining ships, but I'll take it. I'll take mining ships, you know. I've started streaming a little bit on Twitch. I'm going to start doing a little bit of Star Citizen kind of. I've been playing other stuff. I've been playing like Dark and Darker and Returnal and Tarkov and stuff, but I'm going to be playing some Star Citizen on there. I don't really have much of an audience, but if you guys ever want to just come out and hang out with me, I would read the chat. I'll hang out with you guys. I don't really have a schedule. I just kind of play when I can. It's usually at nights my time. I'm CST, UTC -6. So, yeah, I get on and I play. So when I can. So come check me out. I'd appreciate it. I'll read chat. We'll have some talk.